We're all inclusive here. We want to make sure. Oh, my God. Thank you, brother. You know, John was sharing, John Dumas, if you're interested in watching online, johndumas.com. And he was sharing before the service how he can see himself, experience himself, feel himself, particularly with the work he's sharing with us here, but just his work's always been fantastic. I remember when I moved here 12 years ago, somebody, I had a group of people I brought here on a tour, and the tour guide that was helping to facilitate the navigation through the Red Rocks and whatever said, "Look, do you see that?" "What?" "That's John Dumas." I'm like, "Cool." And he said, "He's the #1 didge player in the world." I was like, "Well, cool." He didn't know that I already met John or knew of John through conferences that we had played, but it was great to hear this feedback. But John was talking about how this concept of, he's always been honoring of the earth, the elements, beings, ancestors, and so on, but this concept that we really promote here, this surrender to the Mother, the Holy Spirit, how that's really taking things to another level for him, and I believe it's the same for everybody here as well. I love that. I love that we're doing that. I love that we're, not holding back, just the idea of back to God, man. I mean, anybody, if you heard me talk lifetimes ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, or now, you would have heard kind of the same theme, not the same words necessarily, but the same theme. When somebody says, what's Michael about? Teachers are usually, they have a certain topic or a theme. There's a certain style. They're very Buddhist or they're very this or that. But it's always been interesting when promoters try to describe me. I realize how odd that must have sounded. But when they would try to, what does he talk about? Whatever, any topic, any theme, but it's always bringing it back to God. It's always been about God first, enhancing our connection to Spirit, whether it's the Holy Spirit or God or whatever, enhancing our connection, but also integrating that into our being. What value is there of us practicing, studying, meditating, anything, if you're not different the moment you leave that to do something else? When you move on after meditation, human beings think of it as just a curiosity, a practice of some kind. So it's really connecting with God at a deeper level, letting that change you, and then bringing that change to the world. Those are the three primary facets of what I teach. And the topics can vary. Today we're doing a workshop on creating fulfilling relationships. Join us if you can. But no, oh, yes it is, isn't it? What is it? Oh, yeah. It's spiritual counseling, which includes the creating fulfilling relationships. But it's for God, self, and others to enhance your relationships with all. And so it's advanced styles of counseling, but you don't want to assume that I'm referring to for counselors only. It's really how to interact differently. Yes, also for yourself, improving your relations, but also how to counsel or facilitate other people to enhancing their relationships. And so there's always been that. And another way we word that is mastery. So I believe in becoming living masters, becoming living embodiments of Spirit, not just talking it, not just even external practice, but really becoming that. And if you were summarizing Buddhism, A Course in Miracles, or 12-step programs, really they could be summarized in those 3 steps: God, self, and others. Really, that's what it's about. You can break it down further to hundreds of pages of Course in Miracles, hundreds and hundreds of pages of sutras, and so on, or 12 steps. It's really 3. And you can't really easily and shouldn't try to take it from 3 to less, because those 3 facets describe all that seems to be God, self, others. Ultimately, those are all one. That's not my talk for today. Can you tell me what you'd like me to talk about today? Yes?
Death.
Yeah.
Navigating the changing paradigm.
Kundalini rising.
The gift of the present.
Okay, thank you. There was one of those that I missed somewhere in there.
The elderly gentleman said impermanence.
Impermanence?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a nice theme between these. The folks watching online didn't hear them, but you don't need to because I'll talk about them. But there's, in a nutshell, death, impermanence, navigating change, and so on. So there's a nice theme between them. Some of them were different, which I'll still do my best to address. First, let me share real quick just a thank you. Last week we talked about something. You remember, huh? Wow, it was like a lot of people just felt. Every week there's this powerful experience. This is not a church, nor is it a church service. Generically, and for the IRS, it's called a church because they don't have other categories, like spiritual centers per se. But it's an experience. As John was playing, this isn't a performance. This isn't a lecture. This isn't people, that have come to play bingo. We don't do the things, of like standard. This is an experience. And I've always known that and loved the idea that if I have a place that I'm at consistently, this is the way it should be. I've always known that. For many years, touring and touring and touring, and going into beautiful centers, good people, beautiful people, wonderful talks that happened, meditations, and all that. But I always knew that it was a thing, not an experience. I always knew that I could go there and the music might not at all tie into what I'm doing because they were doing performances. Or it was more important for them to, fundraise. So, they could spend 20 minutes talking about fundraisers and not the experience. So I just remained patient with it. And you too. When you see in your life a knowingness that something can be different, your partnerships, your lifestyle, your household, and so on, that something can be different, but you're sort of just living with that split, that divide. Gosh, I sure wish. Well, masters don't stand around and wish. You do it or you don't do it. What do I mean by that? Either start saying, I know my experience could be better, but I'm going to just accept that it's not, and I'm going to just be eternally miserable. I'm just going to accept that. Or you do something about it. You step up. But do one or the other. Don't sit and talk about what you wish were different and do nothing about it. Divided, we fall. Interesting thing happened this morning. Getting in the shower, I hear boom, boom, boom on the door. I'm like, nobody knows where I live. I mean, who could be knocking at my door? I open the door and there's these 3 gigantic firemen. I'm like, hello, hi, you have an alarm that went off. Oh, well, okay. And they said, can we inspect and see if it's an accident, alarm system or something? Sure, take a look. So we all got in the shower. No, I'm just kidding. Just threw in something different. Monty Python. And now for something completely different. So after we were done showering, so I said, is it okay if I just, yeah, sure, go ahead. And they're looking around. No, everything was fine. But the leader says, wow, you have a beautiful place. This is the most beautiful place I've seen around here. I'm like, thank you. So then I'm leaving. I said, just get the fire truck out of the way. I have to go somewhere. And they said, okay. And he says, again, I got to tell you, I love this out here. Angels and the way you have things, fairies and colors that you've chosen. It's so funny, I mean, the house could be burning down, but we're talking about color schemes. My point is, there was a key word that he was saying when I was out there by the street. And he said, there's such a unique feeling to this. See, a feeling isn't the color spectrums and so on. A feeling is your presence. And we talked about this concept last week. the daughters of heaven, which to me, again, I got chills just now, even saying the words, daughters of heaven. We're all children of God. The accurate way of saying that is we are the one child of God. We say children because our minds can wrap around that a little more. If I say, I am the one child of God, it leaves you out, which is what some interpreters did with Scripture. Jesus is the one and only Son of God. Well, even the universe has more than one son, but we'll not go there right now. I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ on earth. I am. When Jesus was asked, are you really the Son of God? I am. But he's not answering the way they think he's answering. I am. God is. I am. We are. God is one. The primary law of the universe, from Hinduism to Judaism, it that the Lord thy God is one. There is but one God. In many facets and figures, in paganism too. But you get lost when you start worshiping one piece of the puzzle. God isn't even the puzzle. It's the spirit behind the puzzle. So I am the one child of God. So when I say daughters of heaven, I'm not trying to exclude males, because you could say there are sons of heaven. But really, it's more accurate to say, because we're used to it, the sons of God. Okay? Children of the light, children of the one. There's different throughout history, these different factions. And some of you have asked, can you please elaborate on the daughters of heaven? Well, of course I can. Will I is another story. And I as I'm talking, I thought, well, no, we got to go somewhere else today. And you asked for certain things. But to a degree, I'm still going to revisit that. And I feel guidance to do something even more, which I'll get to later, some other day or some other time. But the daughters of heaven. So when I say daughters of heaven, please don't feel excluded, because it includes, it's genderless. But on the earth plane, people can say, well, now they've started, since last week. Am I one? Am I one? Yeah, you're daughter of heaven level 1. You're daughter of No, don't ask me if you're one of them. Please don't ask, because I'm probably not going to answer you. For all kinds of reasons. People stand around, I'm daughter of heaven level 3. You're only level 2, stop. That defeats the whole point. You're not supposed to be trying to put your head around this or get information for your head to talk about this. Generically, a bigger group is Lightworkers. Bigger than that are the children of God, which are everyone, including non-Lightworkers. But a lesser group than that, all children of God ever created, there's the Lightworkers, the ones of the children of God that are working to anchor the light of God in the universe. A smaller group still, yes, children of the law of one from Lemuria and so on and so on. The great white, brotherhood, which is really the great brotherhood, sisterhood of light. Hello, darling. So she heard me call daughters of heaven, so she thought she'd come. So she said, oh, that's me. I'll come up to the stage. But a smaller group still. And the difference between sons of that general paradigm and or Lightworkers. Lightworkers are anchoring this presence. They're really working to change humanity and bring humanity home. The daughters of heaven are bringing God to mankind. How? Being the presence. That's it. Lightworkers do a little more. They talk a little more. They act a little. The daughters of heaven have this tranquility about them. That doesn't mean they can't have a bad day. But there's a peace about them. It doesn't mean that they're real rigid about it, because those are just people maybe devotional to God, but lifetimes as a nun or a priest, or that's different. This is holding. There's something beautiful, soft, even almost sensual about it, but reverent as possible. It's an amazing vibe when I describe this. And like I said, I'm going to do more with this sometime in the near future, I feel. Now, a lot of people describe this as it really did something. As soon as they heard the words, daughters of heaven, it did something in their hearts. They felt this opening, men and women. They felt this opening. But that's what this is about, man. We do things at such a much higher level, here at this center than most people choose to do. And that's attitude we have, intention that we have, no nonsense, like let's go for it. But by no means am I interested in creating an ism about it. When someone says, can you call me, what am I? Michael, what? Tell me, yes, I can tell you, and I do in sessions, sometimes if it comes up, lifetimes. What star system you relate to. Yeah, Pleiadian, Syrian, etc. Okay, sometimes I do that. But I've over the years, I've almost never done that much. But over the years, I also learned to do it even less and even less. Because people fixate on titles. And then they ask me what they are. Well, I can tell you. But who's telling me to tell you? The mother. So ask her. And not me. Not because I'm not going to honor you with an answer. Because I want you to develop your own close relationship. And if she says, you're this and you feel this, just go with it. Well, I want Michael to verify. Why? Just feel it, because that's part of the learning process. And if this lifetime, I'm not saying don't respect me as a teacher or leader. I'm saying, what am I going to do? I'm just going to hand you over to her anyway, so save some time. When you hear me, you hear the mother. Honestly. Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. True. And I'm saying, when you hear me teach, it's the Holy Spirit. And I love that. So by all means, sit, share, join us. By all means. When you pray, of course, pray to the person I'm praying to get these wonderful moments with you, right? Develop that. I still enjoy this. It's not like I go, well, now that I plugged into the mother, who needs you people? You still interact with the rest. I still stand over there kind of going into trance as he's playing music. So you're still here, still interact, still respect the teachers, still do the meditations, read the books, and do the self-help work. Absolutely. But don't just do it as a distraction. Do it to go home. Do everything with the theme of going home. Do everything with the theme of, how can I be the presence of God today? Many people that are on the path study and learn and study and learn. And they don't realize that they're actually doing to get to heaven. And what I'm describing is, just imagine you're in heaven and let your doings match that. Don't do to get to heaven, be in heaven and do from that place. Make sense? It changes everything. Don't be in AA struggling to not drink. Be with God and practice it. It's easier. Because in God, you're not an alcoholic. In God. So it's easier to practice not being one than it is to keep practicing so you can find God. When people tell you, meditate for 3 hours a day if you want to know God, no. 60 seconds, 5 seconds. I'm not saying don't meditate long durations. I'm talking about the word have to. If you're not separate from God, why do you have to do anything to become one with God? I'm already there. In doing anything. The cover of Time magazine about 30 years ago, a World Series pitcher was asked, what's this thing, you talk about God? Oh yeah, a sports figure, World Series winner. Well, what can you tell us? Well, I don't ask God to give me a perfect game. I ask God to be with me every pitch. I surrender the pitch to God. See, what he got right there is, and make it a strike, Lord. No, it's whatever it is, it is. Very Zenish, very Taoist, very Christ-ish. You see? Doing everything from that place. And that's how I feel about things. Like I don't think too much of myself doing as much as enjoying the being. Those who feel an affinity to the concept of light worker, I love that. I love that they feel that. But be careful, whether Buddhist, light worker, ascension topics, anything else, there's still a temptation to get into the doing of it. Like you can't ascend unless you wear this amulet. You can't be a Buddhist unless all it is you accepting it. That's all. God is. I am. Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. That concept. It's not like when you see me, you see a person who's really trying hard to be the Father. No, I am. But if he did not accept it, it was not to be. Right? It's the consciousness with which we do things. So don't try to ascend. Live it. Live the feeling, the knowing of ascension. Oh, okay, is there a specific chant we have to do while we're doing that? Yeah, it's called Be Nice. Be nice. Just be nice. Be a little more decent, more forgiving. So this concept, it's about oneness. And questions were asked about navigating these changes and losses and death. In God, there is no such thing. Honestly. There is no alcoholic, there is no death, there is no dysfunctional child, there is no codependent family. None of that exists in God. I'm not saying, therefore, walk around like none of it's happening. You don't drive by somebody who's driven into a ditch and go, it's not real. Get over it. That's, just nonsense. If it's not real, how do you best practice knowing that without feeling divided? It's called know the truth but respect the illusion. Because you might know that it's not real, but if you have to ignore somebody in pain so that you can prove that it's not real, you don't get it yet. You should be able to be in the world and not of the world. Get out and start jacking that car up. It's not real. Click, click. It's not real. Click, click. Do your mantra there. Do your mantra with a smile. Like, I don't care what happened. Lose a leg. Boom. Wow. Isn't that weird? Because the world keeps trying to hook you into its illusion, meaning the ego that controls the world. Every time you see a sickly person, you're being tempted, not by God. You're being tempted. You're tested by you, tempted by the ego to believe in what you see. I've said this story many times, but Jesus on the way to the cross, there's some Course in Miracles students say, well, it was impossible for Jesus to have felt pain. Right. So that's why when he was carrying the cross, he wasn't really sweating or struggling or even bleeding. He was like da 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 da. That didn't happen. He was struggling, he was stumbling. Why? Because he respected saying, this is what this world is like. It's painful. I'm not going to fake it. It's painful. He went through all of it for a reason. Well, he suffered and took on our sins. No, what sins? Our belief in separation that creates it. He took on our false beliefs. So when he's walking down that walkway, he sees a couple of the daughters of heaven who stand and they're weeping for him. And what does he do? Do not weep for me. And he says, do not believe in what you see. That's amazing. Is that what you say to people? Is that what you say to the dentist as he's... Don't believe in what you see. Just no problem. Novocaine, take it away. Right? Guys, it's okay. And he goes through the motions. And when he's on the cross, his friends are crying. What does he say to them? Don't believe in what you see. I'm not that body that you see suffering. There's no death. There's no suffering. There's no pain in God. So he's trying to redirect us. He was doing psychology right then with the people. And what is he really saying? Don't believe in what you see. I'm not saying that's easy. at all. The world exists because we've made this such a trap to believe in what we see. The yogis throughout history have consistently said, do not believe your senses, which is why they go through such torturous extremes to prove the body's not real. Lying on a bed of nails, being hung up and for long periods of time, and no food, no water, to prove that this world is not real. Now, there's one piece that they should download, which is, and now that I've got it, I don't have to prove it anymore. Your presence is enough to tell us that you don't believe in this world. You don't have to go through long periods of suffering to prove to us that you're not suffering. Been there, done that. Marriage, right? No, so seriously though, all seriousness aside, to think, come from a different place. When you call on the mother and say, how would you have me deal with this? She's going to guide you at your level. She might not guide you to do it as Jesus did it or as your person sitting next to you does it, but as you can do it. But it's always going to be evolving. It's always going to be layers being peeled off. How do we navigate these things, these changes and challenges in this world? Remind ourselves, this is not, what I'm seeing is not actually what's happening. Even if it is, it's a test. How much power am I going to give this divorce? How much power am I going to give this, whatever it is? Right? It's not easy. This is not happening. That's going to sound like somebody that should be institutionalized. That's what they're going to try to do to you if you say that too loud. So I wouldn't. Hey, guess what? This isn't happening. You can't get pulled over by a cop for a traffic violation and go, guess what? This isn't actually happening. You can now leave, go on your way, sir. They're going to bring the straitjackets. They're going to lock you up because you're practicing that it isn't really happening. So what I'm saying to you is, know it. You don't have to say it. If you know it, you won't have to say it. Speaking doesn't mean you don't know things, but that's what that means, that the people that overly speak and preach something, the preachers on Sundays, televangelists or whatever type they are, the more they've got to push it and convince you and guilt you and shame you, the more they don't get it. What they're really saying, oh my God, I'm deathly afraid that I don't understand anything. And so you're all going to hell for it because I don't understand. So when you're the one that says, no, I think it's okay, when you can say to a child, and I've had parents bring me their, lost children. Michael, I really liked your talk today. It was great. Can you talk to him? And the kid's like 10 or whatever. And, he won't eat anything, and I'm saying, good on you, dude. Good. So what do you like? Oh, I like, whatever it is. Candy bars. Great. Validate people where they are before you can expect to take them anywhere else. Somebody's lost. I don't care if they don't believe in God. Oh my God. Now there's going to be fundamentalists, emphasis on mental, fundamentalists that are going to be all over this guy. How dare him say that it doesn't matter? It doesn't. My believing in God doesn't change that God exists. It only hurts me. It makes me live alone in here. And what you needed to hear was me not judging you for it. That was the presence of God today. See, I don't have to tell you, well, even though you don't believe in God, I judge you for it. That's really bad. Then there's the next one up, which is, you don't believe in God, but I forgive you, to your children. But I forgive you. They're just like, oh, good. Wow. On some level, they know you're whacked out. For all kinds of reasons. One of them, because you think that they care what you think about them, not believing in God the way you do. You need to apologize to them. Anybody you've ever tried to push God onto, thinking that that's what Scripture's told you to do. Oh no, it's my job to wrong you. If I don't, I'm not a good Christian, Muslim, etc. You know, to be a true spiritual person under no particular name, to be truly a spiritual person, my job is to know who you really are. You could be standing there doing heroin, and my job is to say, and what you seem to be doing is not the real you. It's the part that wants to and needs to forget who you are. Now I'm curious, why? Why are you in so much pain? I don't blatantly say that. I bridge with you. You know, you could be doing whatever drug or drink or whatever, and they say, you want some? No, I'm good. You don't say, yeah, no way, that's bad. You say, no, I'm good. You know, because you got your own John Denver kind of natural high. You know. Wow. This today. Wow. Anyway. To be the presence, right? To be the presence. How can I be the presence? Stop trying to convince people they're wrong about things. It's not helpful. Well, they need to know. No, they don't. If you truly understand God, then you know that every path you walk is a spiritual path. If God is everywhere, how can there be a path that's not spiritual, spirit, God? It's just some paths are more direct than others. So some people are going to take longer. But the question is, why? The only answer is fear. The only reason people don't go running right through that one straight ahead route to the doorway to heaven is fear. I think I'll reincarnate a few thousand more times. You know, you're still going to get home. But why would you want to take so long? There can only be one answer, and that's fear. What are you afraid of? Because that light, when I get there, is going to shine so brightly, it will leave no part of me hidden. And there are parts of me I don't want to see, and I don't want anybody else to see. That is called judging yourself. What is it you don't want to talk to me about as your counselor? What is it you won't tell your partners about? I'm not saying you should just blatantly, you know, hey, honey, Mike, I heard this talk today. I need to tell you some things. You might have to navigate that gently. But at the end of the day, what would I need to be afraid of besides myself? So I need to heal. I need to heal my misbeliefs. So getting on this tangent for a moment of healing. The daughters of heaven, light workers, will still be herbalists and naturopaths. Even some medical doctors are light workers. Don't think light work means only herbal and not synthetic meds. Stop judging. If you have a loving surgeon and a hateful herbalist, go to the loving surgeon. It's what's in here in these people. Don't think that what tools they're holding makes them holy or not. Yes, it's beautiful when we can go more holistic, of course. So people think that real healing from grief, loss, illness, or whatever it happens to be, people think that the real healing is when you no longer think of it disease and treat a disease. No, here at the Center for Oneness and Wholeness, we treat the person as a whole being. So we take into account stress and preventative measures. That's holistic health based on human standards, okay? But if you're that holistic, surgery should also be in there. Oh no, that's bad. I had this couple tell me, 40 years ago, yes, I'm that old. 40 years ago, this couple came to me for a session, and we're just torn because she has a tumor in her skull, in her brain. She has a tumor. And it's operable, but we don't believe in that. We don't believe in it. We're trying herbs. Oh, that's a good choice, right? Yeah, real good. Little chamomile ought to take that tumor right away. You know what? If you really have that much faith and no need for surgery, then just snap your fingers and it's gone. That didn't work, did it? So how about we talk about surgery? And they were very offended. Yeah, anyway, they were very offended. And no, we don't believe in that. So then why did you come to me? And well, we don't believe in surgery. And I said, let me ask you a question because I knew the answer. Do you ever garden? Well, yes, of course. We're organic gardeners. Good. Do you ever use a hoe to break up the soil and take out weeds? Yes. Let the surgeon use a hoe to take out a tumor. It's the same thing. He was like pissed. Sorry. Angry. I could just see he was like, but she was like, that's it. Stop judging it. It's okay. It's totally fine. But don't put your belief in a metal object healed me. We are souls before we are bodies. So true holistic health is not just using herbs. It's you have to bring the soul into the conversation. How can you segment out spirit and soul and call yourself holistic? Just because you say, well, the liver meridian technically is connected to the gallbladder meridian, that's holistic. And we use herbs instead of medicines, that's holistic. No, you still haven't talked about the soul. It's only all illness, death, issues, struggles are beliefs. I believe I have issues to work on. I manifest them as everything else we call symptomatic. I have beliefs that I'm less than a holy child of God, or my beliefs that you're not a holy child of God. That's where everything stems from. My beliefs, my judgments. I can believe as God knows, or I can believe as my ego thinks. The outcome will be very apparent. Do I get the gifts of God or the karma of the ego? So true healing, it's like there's a bay, a waterway, and in this water, it's a port. Okay? We can call planet Earth Porta de Luna, or Luni. Porta de Luni, we'll go with Luni. The port of the crazy, all right? Because we're here thinking we're separate from God. That is not true, and yet we live as though it is true. That's a little nuts. So then we start saying, and this person that I'm not, by the way, has an illness which can't be, in a body that doesn't even exist, and I'm going to go to someone who's not there to give me some medicine that doesn't exist to fix my illness. And that's why it's the port of the crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But what if I say, I know that there's something else here that's causing this, my beliefs. I'm giving these to you, God, and I'm denying the effects of those former beliefs. Now, once I'm done, I feel a shift in my soul. That's holistic. Now, what I do on the outside without judgment is fine. Surgery, herbs, aura brush downs, whatever it's going to be. That part won't matter. And that's what Jesus meant in so often that he said, take the aspirin, but don't forget, do to God first. Give to God the stuff. Give to God what's God's and Caesar's what's Caesar's. If your body thinks it needs surgery, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. No, we can't. That's wrong. That's bad. That's judgment. And you'll deal with that. That judgment will come back to you. It's okay. Don't let your friends say, well, you have breast cancer, but don't get any help. Do it holistically. Guys, it might work that way for you. Don't herb or non-herb. Get it here, your soul. Get clear with God first. When you're at peace, you'll be guided more accurately as to do chemo or not do chemo. Whatever it is, don't judge it. And if you have friends that are going to guilt you for doing chemo, have them extracted from a psychological surgery by cord cutting. You don't need the people in your life that are going to enhance guilt and shames. And if you do insist on having, well, I can't because this is my mother after all, that's called codependence. Addictions you would keep with that you know aren't helping you, why would you do such a thing to yourself? And there's a lot of people I can see in the room right now going, oh God, this is not good, man. I can feel that and I can see that a lot of you are like, uh-oh. It's not as hard as it seems. If you have people in your life that you would not recommend to your children, if you love your children, then why do you have them in your life? All I'm saying is to love yourself as much as you would love somebody else. Love each other as I have loved you, for example. Jesus is saying, total love. Why don't you guys give that a shot? Okay, here, I'll demonstrate it again. Go. And we think that placating and we think that enabling behaviors is somehow okay so that people will like us. By human standards, who do you need to like you? Be the presence of God, be the love, and you don't need to be liked because you're already loved instead of just liked. Be that presence and bring that presence to the world, to everyone, as best you can. You don't have to say chemo or no chemo. You don't have to argue people about their diets. You got to be vegan or else what? Well, I'm a vegan, so I'm going to heaven. There's no vegan restaurants in heaven. None. I assure you. Not a one. There's no line you get in that's the express line into heaven if you're vegan. And then the long, slow line over there for meat eaters or whatever. If there is such a thing as a fast track, it's non-judgmental people, judgmental people. The judgmental don't make it in slower. They have to come back on earth until they get in the other line. It's so weird, man. Anyway, so the waters in the bay, as they rise, which is a metaphor for consciousness, all the boats rise together. If I want to help bring healing to the world, stop picketing. Change your consciousness. You can still picket, but get your consciousness to be your main focus. Stop the doing and do the being. Get the consciousness to rise, and all the boats, which you call people with problems that you need to fix, the boats will rise. Change the consciousness. Even if, for example, an ill person, a leper or whatever of days of old in Jesus' time, Jesus never worked on somebody's problem. He saw them without it and it disappeared. He never had to work harder. He didn't go, oh, leper, you are healed. Oh, Lazarus, you're dead. Oh, this is going to take some real, and I'm going to have to, and just really intensify my meditation. Walks on water, Lazarus rise, boom, ba boom, like that. Just, how's that not brilliant mastery? I don't have to work harder. If I have to work harder, then I have an opinion that one illness is tougher to fix than another, which means it exists. No, I'll walk on water. I'll do whatever, because none of it is real. All of this is a hallucination or a hologram, if you want me to use a sweeter term for it. It's a hallucination or hologram that we co-created. And we keep it alive so that we don't have to remember our holiness. Because we're afraid that if we remember our true value and our true holiness, it will show the contrast of things we have done and thought that weren't very holy. Which makes good sense. If you have a child that's done some naughty thing and you say, come in the house, they're not thinking, all is forgiven. They're thinking, when I go home, even though home is where I have dinner tonight, safe bed, they're thinking what I did wrong is their focus, right? And the more they hear, come on, the more scared they get. And that's what we do. The closer we get to the light, the more intensified the heat. The heat is not from God. God is a light that has no temperature. It's just illuminating. And if it had a temperature, it's warm. But we conjure up, because of the ego convincing us, if you do ever try to go home, God is waiting for you. You wait till your father gets home. He's going to have, you're going to be in big trouble. That's what we project onto God. It's very sad that man, God made us in its image, and we return the favor. We decided to start making God in our image. So if we have cruel parents, God's a cruel parent. If we have people anybody on earth that can't love us, there's a possibility God could be one of them. It's all manufactured in our head. God made us in its image. We cannot make God in our image. It's not possible. We can't ruin, taint, break God. And somehow our ego convinced us that we did. Man created God in his own image. It's on a Jethro Tull album, by the way, on the album cover, okay? Because that's our dysfunctionality. And we just stop. So when you look at someone and see someone doing something, I'm not telling you pretend it isn't happening. But I am asking, can we start to say, this is what appears to be? Don't call it fact. Don't call it forever. Just say, this is what appears to be, and then add one more thing. But God Can you show me your version of this? It's all I'm asking. Put it out there that you're owning that what you seem to see. A blown out tire, funds you don't have in your account. Own it. Don't pretend it's not there. Own it. This is what I seem to see or experience, an illness. But God, you know what? Today I'm open to seeing this as you see this. Seeing as God sees doesn't mean literal, although it can sometimes manifest literally. It means a shift in consciousness. The consciousness changes. So, I can pray that your knee is fixed. I can pray that this and that and the other is fixed. I can pray that psychological wounds, child of origin wounds are better and fixed. I can also pray to see the real you where all of that falls away on its own. It's wonderful symbolism when they would talk about crutches that people would use that would drop to the ground when Jesus spoke to people. They're falling away. It's belief systems. Jesus would demonstrate healing. Do you believe in who I am? Slightly paraphrased. Do you believe in who I am? And if they say yes, well, then you're healed. Why? Well, because I'm wonderful, he's saying. No. He's saying if you can see the Christ in me, you're evoking the Christ in yourself, and you're not sick in your Christ self. He's raising the consciousness of the moment. So when we're healed, we are not healed alone. It's impossible. We're rising together. Do you want to help the world and all its strangeness? Oh, all you have to do is vote for this? No. It isn't going to be who you vote for. It's just going to give you more homework once they get in office. Okay? Are you praying for the day the AMA stops doing what? Careful, guys. Be careful. That's not worthy of your time. Illusions are not worthy of your time. Put the time into raising the level of consciousness. Lightworkers, how can I be helpful? Lightworkers are not people that just use herbs instead of medicines. Holistic practitioners are not people that just use herbs instead of medicines. It's seeing things differently. Do you want to really help the planet? Heal your consciousness. As I am healed, I am not healed alone. As I raise my consciousness, everybody's rising with me. Yeah, but there's problems. That's not my focus. If there is something in your face and you have to deal with it, change tires on a car, do it. But are you willing to also shift the consciousness that brought it about? That's the way, the Lightworker way, anchoring the presence of God here to help people go home. And the ways of the daughters of heaven, how to bring that presence into this earth plane in such a gracious way, such a non-efforting way, a little more quiet, let's say, holding presence. It's a little more heart-centered than the head of Lightworkers, not because I'm judging Lightworkers, not at all. They're the ones who are doing the majority of the work, human beings, that is, that are doing the majority of the work. Changing things in consciousness, bringing in the new age, having bookstores, all of the Lightworkers, that's all Lightworkers. But one in every 10 Lightworkers might be, let's say, a daughter of heaven, where there's a presence that's being held more than the doings. It's not better than, it's just different. Sometimes it's that daughter that makes a difference versus 9 Lightworkers trying to make a difference in your life. The presence of that one daughter of heaven changes it all because you were ready for that at that given time. So please remember these concepts I've shared. A little bit about the daughters of heaven, Lightworkers, holistic healing, or whatever else we covered in this period of time. Breathe this in. We'll share in a meditation, we'll share a little bit maybe differently, because I don't know what we're going to do until we get there. But I just know that we'll set the intention to anchor this into another level. Okay? Please take a few centering breaths. Imagine, just for a moment, What if most of our challenges come from our inner conflicts? You know this is a place of impermanence, and yet it just keeps screaming at you that it's real. Have you done something wrong? No. But call for help. I know this is a place of impermanence, one of the words one of you brought up. I know it, but I don't always believe it and see it. Can I? Yes. Call on the Mother. No matter what the people in your life go through, people of your nation, citizens of the earth, family members, no matter what, we have never left God, and none of these issues can exist in God. So what is our job? To act as the bridge between those two realities. How can I know the truth but respect the illusion? How can I respect the illusion without getting sucked in too much into this world? If I recommend body work, am I feeding the illusion? Not if you know that that's what you're doing, to be a bridge. Just playing the game. Forgive yourself. You're just playing the game. Take a moment to observe your life. Just ask yourself, generally speaking, in what way, recently or this year, what ways have you gotten sucked into the belief that this world is real? Was it physical pain? Was it something nationally, something globally? War, death, challenges, the things you folks asked about. Look honestly. Don't judge it. Don't fix it. Just note the kinds of things that have gone on in your life that have successfully or not successfully tried to prove its existence. Look at the different ways you reacted to those moments. Tension, fear, reaction, words. Just look at the various ways that you reacted. Nothing I can do can fix the world of doing. Listen to the sound. And begin humming lightly. Keep going, breathe when you need to. Keep going. This sound is what Scripture says the angels do when they flap their wings. There's this sound, this vibration. When planet Earth screams in pain, the angels, that's all they do. Hold presence. Daughters of heaven, they hold presence. Lightworkers, they hold presence. Healthy counselors, sponsors, they hold presence. Healthy parents, they hold presence. Keep the sound going and review again things in your mind that went on. Things that challenged your belief that this world is what's real, not God the invisible, but this world. And keep holding presence. What you're saying in your sound is, despite what I think I see, God is. Good. Hold it. Keep going. Hold the vibration. Children struggling. Weather issues, catastrophes. Hold presence. You are not in denial. You're acknowledging these things seem to happen. You're just changing your reaction to it. I choose to ask God, how would you have me see this? Show me how to hold presence. It's not that you would walk up to a car accident and start humming, but you would act as though the humming became an action. The humming is, how can I help you today? The humming is, how can I be helpful? The humming is, how can I be the presence of the Divine Mother today? Just add visualization as you're humming, visualization of challenges falling away for people because you brought a different vibration to the moment. God says, let there be light, and there's light. We're doing it this way. Tone that presence, a higher dimensional presence, into the world. And like God, know, and it is good. Watch the problems dissolving. Think of someone that's ill and just send vibration into them. Let the vibration correct the imbalance. Fix one, heal one, or many. And when you're ready and you feel complete with the images that came to your mind, start gradually opening your mouth and let the sound become bigger. Feel it, hear it, see it, know it. The presence of God. Is nothing else. There's the truth of God and what seems to be. We're letting the truth disperse what seems to be. Begin giving thanks. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Divine Mother. Our sound is our call, and now silence fills the room as the Mother responds. Her wings of love, her hands of light, embracing the room, embracing individuals, embracing ancient civilizations that did this before us. All my relations, all beings of the light that did this work, any culture, any planet, any star system, we're doing this together. Into our hearts you come, Divine Mother, which is also the love of God for its holy children. Father, Mother God, help us to forgive ourselves and see clearly that by judging ourselves or others, we're attempting to divide your kingdom and break it into challenging, miserable symptoms. No more. We accept your will of oneness. All is healed, all is love, all is light. There is no other option that we would choose because there is no other option. And so it is. Thank you. There's this amazing thing that's happening right now in the room, this diamond-like geometry there that's just shining light to everyone. Holy, holy, holy. God is, I am, we are holy. And in that word, holy, it means entirely, all of us together. We take that radiance and that diamond configuration into our hearts, and we let it be anchored there. Thank you. Slowly stretching out, please. How's everyone feeling? Nice, huh? We're going to do our closing prayer in just one moment. I'll also ask everyone to share what they've heard or learned today. It just takes a minute to do that when they're passing around the bags and baskets. But let's take up our donations, your gifts of appreciation and gratitude for what you learn and what you experience on Sundays. There's a button you can push online to also make those donations. We always appreciate you being as generous as you can be. In the blue bags here, it's your love offerings, the blue bags. The baskets are for any extra donations you can make, change at the bottom of your purse, winning lottery tickets. Whatever you would like to put in the basket, those go for people of lesser means that we help out or special projects. Before I forget, one such project, we're having installed this week another small building. They're building it tomorrow or this week out here. It's for our storage to get rid of the several little storage cabinets and so forth outside. So anybody, it's a few grand that we're going to put into that. If anybody feels called to help with that, we'd greatly appreciate your donation towards that, okay? Online or present here. Please hold your love offering to your heart. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Can anyone share what they learned or heard today or felt during the meditation? What did you experience? Yes, dear.
My mother passed away. Her body passed away 5 days ago, and she is an angel flapping her wings.
Nice. Nice. Your mother passed, and you can see her differently. It's true. Remember, you can ask your mom if you had a loved one pass of any kind that you were close to. You can say to them, you are welcome to live vicariously on earth through me, and I can live vicariously in heaven through you. Okay? Who else? Yes?
I had to make a real hard decision last year, and I had to choose to get an abortion. And I realized that inheritance is not really a thing, and that I have to forgive myself and forgive others for my choices.
Yes. Thank you for that. The decisions we make, giving up a baby, adopting out a baby, giving up a place, a job, a marriage, these things that we sometimes feel compelled to let go of. There's all kinds of opinions, religious, political, and all kinds of, about those kinds of decisions. Stay out of the right wrong. Send love to those people that are challenged going through those experiences. And if you are right that there was a right thing to do, your loving them will help them heal enough to see it that way. You see? I mean, if you're worried about them getting it, fine. Send them love anyway, because that'll help them get there. But judging, including judging ourselves, isn't going to help. I understand that some of us, we think that if we let others off the hook and not tell them what we think, or ourselves, well, if I don't judge myself, then I might make the same mistake twice. And if you do, you're going to intensify your lessons, right? Just how can I be the presence of love, patience, peace, forgiveness, grace, etc.? And we've all done things. We've lived many lifetimes, guys. You've taken a life at least once in your many lifetimes. You've given up a life. You've married, not married. You've tried devotional lives or non-devotional. It doesn't matter. What matters is, who are you choosing to be now? The presence of God, a light worker. When you're really a light worker and you shine that light, it'll bake away all the old masks and disguises that you once wore. And we could get into that because people have such strong opinions. But doing the work I've done for so long, a child in a situation like that or similar situations, even stillborn and other varieties of these kinds of losses and so on, the child comes back to you again when you're pregnant again, or in the next lifetime, or in your dreams. You know, believe it or not. When you keep seeing it as something that you've done something to, you put it in a box and part of it will be stuck there. Let it go. You know, let it go to another level. Say, sweetheart, I'd like you to be an angel. I'll live vicariously in heaven through you, you on earth through me. Other than your beliefs that that's not the way it works, you know, it does work this way. Only you can keep it from feeling that way. Let it go. Some of you have lost children to death or disease or addiction, and that's what they did. It's just done. Now what? Bring them home. They've taken their own lives sometimes. Keep them in that thought, and you're holding them in that thought, that vibe. Let them go. Free my people, Moses says to Pharaoh. But God's telling you, forget Moses and Pharaoh, you. Free my people means free all your judgments. Let your children off the hook. Yeah, but they did, my ex, keep them stuck in that prison and you have to stay there with them to guard the jail. Right? Let them all go. Live as God lives instead of the ego self. Who else can share? What did you learn or feel today? Yes, dear?
I felt love holding my hand.
You felt love holding your hand. Nice. Yes.
I'd like to share a rather an uncanny similarity between that story that you told at the very beginning and something that happened to me. A few years ago, our neighbor attempted suicide, and the firemen, 3 firemen, I think it was 3, the same you, came to the house next door, and our neighbor, Paul, he was sitting there, just trying to commit suicide.
Yes.
One of the firemen was dealing with that. The other 2 firemen were looking over into our yard at my labyrinth. And they said, we have never seen, and they said, we're really feeling something here. We get lots of, we've never seen anything like this. It's absolutely wonderful. So I told them they can come and walk in any time. But when you were talking about the energy, they felt in your house that happened in what was a tragic situation, the 2 things, but they could see that. So
And the great metaphor of that, even in tragic, seemingly or almost tragic situations, we can bring the presence of God. There, it's like something in your yard next door. Whatever, it could be a symbol in the sky. Hey, look, you never know. Be the presence and you'll have the eyes to see things that most people would miss. Who else had their hands up? Let's do. Yes?
I'm not going to heaven. I'm already there.
Yeah, stop trying to get to heaven. Live as though you're there. And incidentally, if you're living as though you were there, you wouldn't be judging yourself so harshly for things that aren't very heavenly. Who else? Yes?
I realized today that whenever I saw somebody in distress, I would just drive right by.
Oh,
The next time, because I want to change my consciousness, I'm going to stop and help them fix their flat tire.
nice. Nice. For you, it's going to be a change in how much you would reach out to help others. Very cool. Very beautiful. And in those times when you can't, just hold it in thought that they're taken care of. It happens for me once in a while where I can't, a certain situation, and I just send the knowing that God's going to take care of them in another way. All right? Yes.
I wanted to share that when you share your stories also inspires me.
Thank you.
When I was driving from Tucson to Sedona, it was in the middle of the rain and was a truck stuck, and I remember your story, and I was guided to make a U-turn and go back, and he said, thank you so much. No one has stopped. You're an angel.
Wow.
I drove him to the nearest town to get signal and get someone
Yeah.
with his truck, and then I continued my journey. And
Right.
today I did feel my realization of too much doing and not enough being.
Too much doing, not enough being. And you see that even casual stories that I throw out there had made a difference. And I love that. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
I like the idea that when you talk about holistic eating, holistic thinking, how it all ties in together.
Right.
How you can't say, oh, I'm this way, and that, but I'm not going to go here, and I'm going to hold on to this forever.
Right.
I like the way you say it all is a bundle.
Right.
We all have to look at the whole thing holistically, not just part.
Right. Seeing things holistically. Yes, it starts off perhaps seeing the body as one. But listen to this, okay? If I think holistically, you know how you know that is because I see my systems are all connected, but I'm still talking about me. If it's true holistic, I'm not even a separate body from you. So true holistic is we're one. And if you're a naturopath and they still want you to do this, if you're a massage therapist, do those things. If someone asks for your coat, give them your coat. what Jesus was saying. Play the game. But don't think that the coat heals them. Your act of kindness is more healing than things you do or give to other people. The kindness that you care. That's what makes a difference. Demonstrating patience. Being an example of peace, love, joy, patience, etc. Thank you for that. One more? Okay, two more. Yes.
Meditation and toning, I felt such a beautiful, shook me to tears because we're all holding space for ourselves.
Shook you to tears, the toning. Yeah. Thank you. Yes?
I lost a pregnancy a number of years ago, and later I became his nanny,
Wow.
and it was such an honor, and I was able to take care of his child for a couple of years,
Ah.
and really, wow, it was like a special thing.
So at a different time in your life, you became a nanny for someone, you realized that's a child
Exactly.
you had lost.
That whole
Wow.
energy, that whole vibration, and I just said,
Yeah.
this is
I
really
love that.
timing, you can't
Beautiful.
turn up.
Beautiful. And the healing doesn't stop there. Healing isn't a thing you put on a shelf and go, look, there's my spoons from Spain and Italy, and I collected thimbles from Holland, and look, oh, and here's this thing that happened with my child. It's you telling the story multiplies the miracle of it. Because someone's, whoa, and someone else is hearing it, they're going to remember it and tell it to someone. Miracles work that way. They're multidimensional. A closing couple of announcements and our closing prayer. All I want to share with you is this afternoon, again, we have our workshop, Advanced Skills in Spiritual Counseling, but it's not exclusively for counselors. It's about healing, creating fulfilling relationships. So we'll talk about internal healing techniques, healthy communication, individual and couples counseling, relationships, and so on. It's in person here and on Zoom. Also this Thursday, Athena Tree and Nico Light will join together their gifts to create interdimensional realm experience with music. So we've talked about that last week as well. Through vocal synthesizers, piano, handpan, and violin. They build electro-symphonic music, celestial sound tour experiences. So it's quite phenomenal. So sign up for that if you can. So that's this Thursday. And remember, if you're interested, we have a healing room out here, the yurt, and in there we have a crystal bed. If you're interested, very, very, it's just really incredible. People that go in there and have the chakras, all these specially cut crystals over each chakra, it's really phenomenal balancing, but it's not just a general balancing. It's kind of otherworldly. It's pretty multidimensional, so check it out. And if you're on social media, thank you very much for watching us. Be sure to like and support and all those other words they use on social media. Yes. How do you feel overall? Good. Thank you. Yeah, I pray that it's just continuing to make sense and download to deeper levels. Your head is going to try to describe this when you're coming to this place, and you're at Starbucks getting your latte or whatever. I don't even know what those things are. People use that term, and I've never had one, but a latte, espresso, and those other things. People are out there getting them, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm going to church. Don't call this a church, because it isn't. Just say I'm going home, because this is us. This is a microcosm of home, of Eden, and then home. Please stand for our closing prayer. For the billionth time, I thank all of you for joining us here on Sunday, the 9th, by the way, of April. John Dumas is going to be doing it with Nina Starsong and Alexander, this really, really beautiful mystical sound code activation. So if you really enjoyed any of the times we've had John Dumas here, it's going to be pretty phenomenal. He and others are also going to join us for a really special Easter service. And lastly, the weekend of April 14th, 16th, Bill Foss is going to be back facilitating a transformational 3-day workshop, Journey to the Akashic Records. There's the flyers in the foyer for that. Information's posted online for that. So you're welcome to get more information. All righty? My deepest appreciation to you, to our board members, our staff, our volunteers, everyone that plays a role here. People that are sponsors and help financially and through prayer. God bless you. Folks watching online and present in the room. When you do our prayer here now, feel it, know it. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Always. Peace to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.